welcome to Real Talk, episode 78. I'm Todd, this is AJ, and we're back.
Yo, how y'all doing this evening? Hope you guys are going to enjoy this show today. I'm excited to get started.
You know, you asked them a question like they're going to respond to you. I guess they could in the comments below. Hint, hint. Hey, so what's Real Talk? You already know the deal. You're here, you're watching. We just talk about God, life, the Bible, and everything in between the best we can. Some of the questions that we answer are asked anonymously via a link at www.remnant.live/real REAL-talk. That's it.
That's it.
So, we're going to dive in today. We've been mixing it up. Last week we played a game that no one cared about because we noticed that...
Shout out to Norm. I think Norm went through and answered every single
True
one.
story, man. Norman, thanks for your constant support.
Yeah,
buddy.
dude. It was awesome. I was like, nice.
He's interacting with us. He's being a part of it.
That's right. Pretty cool.
He's
man.
everything
Thanks.
we ever wanted in a viewer. So, here's a random funny fact for you guys. Unrelated to anything we're going to do. Mm-hmm. I showed up to film today. I had a meeting this morning. Mm-hmm. And I showed up. We were going to film. And we were in kind of a dark room, so I didn't notice this. And as we walk out, I realized AJ and I were wearing the exact same style and color of shirt. Which is no one's fault, truthfully. You know, it's more of, and AJ's like, what, man, it'll be cool. And it's just the odds that we do this, kind of, because it's happened another time.
It's happened, yeah, it's happened before.
And the odds of it happening when we have to film just seems we didn't see each other this morning. There was no planning of that. So I had to run around, find another shirt, and then we told them. So originally, you'd have seen, if you're listening via podcast, I'll describe the shirt. It is a pinkish purple.
Yeah, like a light purple, I guess.
Yeah, a mauve, perhaps.
Nice, I like that.
I don't know colors, but
Me either.
I also was wearing that shirt. It's a nice shirt.
It is a nice shirt. I like the color.
Yeah.
It's so funny because
people have already told us.
I specifically remember looking at multiple shirts to put on. So there's a red, there's a yellow. I'm gonna go with this one. And
you know what's go ahead.
The best part is I didn't even notice that you had this shirt on until we walked out, and you're like, "What the frick?"
I didn't notice either. We came out into the light, and I go. The weird part is even funnier. Like strange odds are that I lost that shirt. Couldn't find it. And then the other day, I was digging around, kind of going through clothes, and I was like, oh, I forgot I had this shirt. Like this nice mauve, perhaps. If you know colors out there and are listening, feel free to drop a comment below to what this color is. I would call it a pinkish purple.
I don't know what to call it.
I don't know, mauve. So why did I tell you guys? Just we live a strange life.
We do live a strange life.
But that leads to our next conversation topic. What's going on in life, man? How's God himself leading you? I don't know.
God himself. The man, the myth, the legend. Yeah. Not the myth, I'm sorry, God. That was terrible.
And now, you're fired.
So, overall, I think I'm doing okay. Life is so fast, man. You know, sitting here doing this, I constantly wonder. One thing that I continuously struggle with is the balance of life. And that's the best way I can put it, I guess, is the balance of life. You know, I don't want to come off as like this anxious guy who the only way to get stuff done is to just constantly be worrying and thinking about it, and I have to be, all hours of the day working on stuff. But I also know that's not healthy, and I know that I have to, people, it's rest. You got to rest, or whatever it may be. And there's a lot more that comes to. There's a lot more that comes with, the job we do. Other than just like, for me, like, I do media stuff. So there's a lot more than just media that comes along with what I do, right? Like, we talk about, events, going to stuff, loving people. There's a lot more, so I often find myself. It goes back and forth. I find myself thinking about it or running away from the idea of it because it's so hard to find that balance. And I don't want to be that guy who's just running around all the time without taking in a moment. But I also feel like I can get so behind, or I can find myself not wanting to I can find myself not wanting to. What's the way I can put it? I don't want to. I guess I don't want to step out of that box, like because once I create a box, it's hard to step out of it because then it's like, oh, no, now things are going according to plan, or I can actually get things done in a timely manner. So then when you want to add something, there's that fear of it not working out. So then you can either upset people around you because something's not done, or you can, you can mess whatever you had up, and then there's always the fear of not getting it back to where it was because you tried to change something that you can't get it back, and which is just so fearful, and I don't like that, and I think that's how I live a lot of my life, unfortunately, especially when it comes to, the idea of work and what I do, and I can get caught up in that box, man, and I guess sometimes I wonder what it looks like to be free in that aspect. I wonder what it looks like to be free in not having to worry about if I try to change something and it doesn't go right, Because for me, it feels like I don't have that room. That's just me personally. Like that's just how I feel. I feel like I don't have that room for error.
Why? Because it'll throw off everything else, or because people will be upset at you? Or?
Both. I feel like it's going to throw off something. I got it down. Now if I change something, that might mess up this process, which leads into that process. The whole process is messed up. And I have to try to fix all that. Or now something isn't on time, so now it's late, or whatever it may be, so.
Kind of difference between, or it's this idea of being safe and consistent. You can get consistent, but it feels like if you're consistent, it won't necessarily be the best, or you won't be able to dream or make things better. Because if you do that, then it may not be consistent.
Exactly.
So then you kind of play it safe.
Yeah. Because I have expectations, and so for me, it's man, I just want so bad. I want to put out the best effort I can. I truly do. From the bottom of my heart, I know that AJ wants to put out the best product, the best effort in whatever he's doing. I know that. But I also know that in the process of that, if that requires changing things, there's also that fear of changing it and it doesn't work. And then you have to backtrack. And then before you know it, you feel like you're underwater because you're having to play catch up. And that's just one aspect of life. Now you add that to everything.
Well, does it? But that also, I think the first thing that comes to my mind as I'm listening to you is you just don't believe in your own capability. Because think about this. If you believed in your own capability, then you'd say, when I try this out, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to get it figured out if it doesn't work. But you're pretty much saying if I try something new, it's not going to be good enough. It's almost like you assume that immediately. And you know what I mean? A lot of this seems to start with the assumption that you aren't going to be able to fix or handle anything new. Versus, going for it. Especially if you think that it's going to improve things. Plus, man, when you play it safe sometimes, especially I think in a job or something where you have some freedom to make things better, or you get to dream or grow, whatever it is. I think when you play it safe too much, you end up becoming sort of burnout too, because you're not getting to really, you kind of become a drone, right? So even the things you work on, by their very nature, they're creative. But if you take the creativity out of it, then it's just monotonous stuff, right? It's like, okay.
Right.
I don't know.
That's a good way to look at it, and I think we've talked about this before, and that's always been a really good point. And I guess for me, I think I struggle because it can feel like even though I'm told, I think my mind always resists the idea of that because it thinks well, you're not allowed to go to the next thing because the thing that you're currently trying to do isn't good enough anyway, but you're also not but you don't take it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get
so
that.
So it's like I can't take that next step because what I'm currently in isn't well done. So it's like,
well, I think you can as long as you don't stop trying to improve the other thing. But then sometimes, if I'm honest, I kind of get that. I can go too far the other way because I want to do everything. And so before I know it, I've got 12 different balls in the air.
Right.
But none of them are really as good as I'd want them.
Yeah, because there's 12 things.
but all of them are still good. Mm-hmm. So I don't think either extreme is the only option.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I think, well, you can't stay there. You can't stay in this because it makes you unhappy. I mean,
absolutely. And like, it creates like it's weird because it creates a feeling of like resentful contentment. Does that make sense?
It's a good phrase, yeah.
Yeah, because you're like, well, I know that I did it, and it's good, and it's out there, and people are like, yeah, there it is, and like it's there. But you also know, like, man, this could be better. This could be better. This could be better. So yeah, it's like a resentful contentment because it's there, and you did what you were supposed to do, but it isn't where it could be. And that's.
Is it not where it could be because of your effort or because of outside external things? If you're honest, does that make sense?
Can you give me an example of
well, I mean, because you're in your mind saying it's not good enough.
Yeah.
Take out other people who are saying it can be better.
Yeah.
You yourself, do you think whatever this project is could be better? When you look at it without other people.
Yes.
Okay. So then that yes, what's hindering it from getting to the place you see? Not even everybody else.
I think I guess for me, I feel like I have to give it full attention, and I feel like I can't
because of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that goes back to what you originally said about all the other various things you got to do.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. I think go ahead.
The thing that sucks though is I don't want to use it as an excuse though. I don't want that to define my whole life. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I don't want to be like, well, I was never able to do this, or this in my life, or I was never able to make this better or this better in my life because of time.
I think it's only an excuse if you let it stop you. So if you let it be the thing that's like, I can never move forward because I have no time.
Yeah.
Then it is. If you say, I don't have any time, mm-hmm. I want to do better, right? I don't have any time. That's an illusion, by the way. But then you're actually not complaining or making excuses. You're trying to problem solve, which is a good thing. Mm. So, I think for you, man, since we're having real talk and sharing with other people, I think for you, it's not necessarily you don't have, and this is an area that I'm not great in. So I'm only telling you some of the things I do. I have a long way to go as far as kind of similar things. Sometimes I let my schedule run me, mm-hmm. which I think is somewhat what's happening to you. But you just got to find the time. So like, for instance, we won't tell everyone. We know today's pretty busy. There's usually this day, specific day we're filming on right now. I know what your schedule is. You kind of know what mine is beyond regular random meetings and stuff. Or, people need to talk. But so, there's no point beating yourself up about what's going to happen here. You're not going to be able to do improvement in the sense of some of the bigger things you want to do during this time.
Right.
But maybe you could tonight, or maybe you could tomorrow between, I'm making something up by the way, 10 and 2, because in the afternoon you have something. Or maybe Wednesdays are your growth days. Mm. And, you pick one thing and improve that. So maybe, let's say it was media related. Maybe one day it's sound. I'm really going to improve sound. Next time it's like, I'm really going to improve lights. I'm really going to, whatever it is. Mm. Instead of trying to eat the whole thing at once. Yeah. Because then it's overwhelming. Because your mind sees all the areas it could be better. And you're trying to improve them at one time, and that's impossible.
I think, yes. I think I definitely get caught up in like that mindset of like all at one time, but I think I also get stuck in the fact that I feel like I don't have time on any day, which is dumb.
That's an illusion.
Yes.
I know where you're at. Mm-hmm. Now, I'll tell you this. Here's something to ask yourself. Are you so wrapped up in sort of, not anxiety, but the stress of everything you do have, because you do have a lot of people stuff, right? Someone always want to talk, because that, it sucks your time. So for instance, for me, there's times that I probably have time to do something tangible, but I'm still thinking about that meeting I had earlier where this person's hurting, thinking about the one that I have later, and that's, before I know it, I've taken half an hour just feeling like I'm all over the place. Mm-hmm. That still comes back to kind of taking control of your schedule. And I can tell you to do this, I don't think I'm great at it yet, is focusing on the task at hand. There really is wisdom in that of, okay, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be in this moment. Yes, I know I have to be XYZ. I have to be here at 5 o'clock. Mm-hmm. But I have until then, and I'm just going to be in this moment. I'm not going to worry about all the other things I have to do. 5 o'clock comes, this thing stops, I'm going to move on to that next thing. You know, because otherwise, man, like, you've got to come up with some direction, even if, and I've said this before, I had a guy I met with before, he was a professor, and it was at the time, it's just stuck with me. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of wrestling with him. He was like going to mentor me, but we only met one time. It was very powerful. And essentially, I was worrying about decisions too and trying to get a hold of things. He said, listen, a still boat can't turn, essentially. Meaning, if you want to turn a ship, you have to start moving and then you can turn it. So for you, you can't just sit here and think about all the problems. You got to say, okay, here, I'm just going to pick something to try. If it doesn't work, then we try something else. Because right now, you feel it, but you're not trying anything different. Because to you, all of the different routes don't seem like they're really going to help the main problem, which is what? I don't have time. Mm. Does that make sense? So you have to try something to break that mindset.
Okay.
And I think for you, it's funny, man. The first thing you want to cut is things you enjoy. Like that's the first thing in your mind that's like, well, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Yeah. And I think that's why I get scared, just because, like, I guess when I look at things, like, when I look at, like, my day-to-day life,
yeah,
I feel like those are the only things I can cut, which is weird. I don't think it's healthy.
Yeah, man, I don't know. We could talk about this for a long time. I don't want to go into your personal stuff too much, but I think putting that on paper too and letting yourself see, okay, do I really have too much? Or am I letting what I have overwhelm me?
Yeah, I feel that.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel like I'm such a weirdo, dude, because I feel like I also think that too, though.
Why?
Like I have all these feelings, right? Like I feel like I feel like what I just said, right? I feel that, but then I also do see that side. I go, no, you're not. You don't do anything. Like
okay, but quit. That's the problem. Like that's good. Let's say you recognize, okay, this stuff is manageable. Mm-hmm. I don't feel it is. That doesn't mean that those feelings of it not being manageable aren't still something you need to deal with. They're still serious. You can't just go, well, I shouldn't feel this because quote, normal people could manage that. No, man, the issue isn't whether or not really you have not enough time. It's that you don't feel you do, which is a real thing. Mm. Make sense?
Yeah. Feelings you can't control how you feel.
So it's just trying to figure out, okay, if I'm sitting here logically saying, no, Todd, or, AJ, sorry, I was talking to myself because I do this too. AJ, you're talking to yourself, no, AJ, this is manageable. Then we got to figure out what's really making you feel like it isn't. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think that's necessarily something you're going to figure out here in 2 minutes on Real Talk. But I do feel you, man, and I don't want to make light of it. I think I struggle with that too. And you do a good job. You'll kind of pull away, but you don't necessarily pour that on other people. Yeah. It still affects them. I think sometimes when I get in those modes, I can end up spilling out on other people, and that's not good. So I think, kudos to you for not doing that. But I don't know, man. Life's too short to be miserable.
Agreed. I don't want. It's so weird. Because I enjoy what I do, right? Like I enjoy. Like I was talking to God the other day, and I told him, like, God, thank you so much for where you put me, because this is such an incredible thing, right? It's just like, I don't know. We so often become blind to the miracle that has been brought to us, and I don't like that.
I do that. Yes, that's so.
And I don't want to live life miserable, because there's no misery to be had. That's how it feels. Like, well, not okay. I shouldn't say that, because it does feel like there's misery to be had. It's more like we know there's misery, like there's none there. It shouldn't be there, And it all goes back to like living like it's real, that God is here, and Jesus paid for what we do and what we are going to do, and everything else, and just remembering that, I guess. We'll do it for, 20 minutes, 30 minutes on a day, and then 2 weeks go by without thinking about it ever again. Mm. Until we're in trouble, or until we're at our last, we're on our last leg, or whatever it may be, We're constantly forgetting the miracle that we're currently living in.
Is that the truth?
So, I do it so much, and it makes me so mad. Because then that can feed into a whole other bunch of stuff. But anyways, I don't want to take up this entire episode talking about my life. So
Yeah, that's what it's about, man.
yeah, that can feed into a whole bunch of other stuff. But so
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm sorry. I don't know. I kind of agree with you. I tend to think I'm not going to accept feeling the way like you're feeling when I feel that. I don't want to accept that.
Me either.
And I don't
Not
think
at
I
all.
have to. So I do think sometimes there's something to faking it till you make it, or in the Christian sense, act the way that we know is available to be. Like I know that sounds ridiculous, but I can have joy. I have it in the spirit, so I'm going to live like that. Because I do think the feelings come sometimes after the actions.
What you choose, yes,
Yeah.
100% agree. I think something it's weird though, because I feel like when I say those things, I wholeheartedly believe it, but when it comes to actually trying to live it, I think I struggle with it.
Well, that's the rub. That's the Christian walk.
Right? Yeah. and I guess the reason why I struggle with it is because I guess for me, I can think of instances in life like situations that have come came, and I feel like I've actually in moments of asking myself, how do I choose joy right now, and I don't have no idea. I have no idea how to choose joy in particular moments, whether that's you did something wrong. Right? So how do you choose joy? Do you just, I think I've talked about this before. Do you just ignore the fact that you did something wrong and ha 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 ha, or do you? Because then that can hurt people.
I think I try to make it about the other person.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, we go play volleyball, with a bunch of people from our church.
Yeah.
Sometimes twice a week, but at least once a week.
Mm-hmm.
There are many times that I'm tired. Okay, so for today, for instance, I'm tired again. It's been 2 weeks in a row. I'm really tired.
Mm-hmm.
So when I do it right, I will show up and I go, if I were them, what Todd would I want to see? Do I want to see a Todd that's, because quiet, I guess podcast people can see me, that's quiet and withdrawn, and maybe I'm not angry, right? That's how I'll justify it, the times that I live out of that. Well, I'm not mad. I'm tired. I'm allowed to be tired. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am, but I always think about what is loving to me. So if I'm hanging out with you, and I don't always do this right, and maybe you're excited to see me, and I'm acting miserable, even though it's not you,
yeah,
that affects you. So I just try to be what I think I would want, and what would be most loving to you, and then I fake it, I act it. And then the funny thing is it comes. I literally view it as I am serving them. So let's take it to your situation. I do something wrong to you. Mm-hmm. I think that I make it right with you, I care. I don't go, because you're right, that would upset you.
Exactly.
But I'm hey, I try my best to make it right with you. I apologize. I work it out. I let you know I care. And then after that, I let it go. Mm. Because if I hold on to it, then I'm making it about me. I am, right? You want to know something deep that hit me for myself? When you sit and you lay in guilt, especially if you let someone else down, you are making it about you. You're not actually feeling bad anymore about what you did to that person. You're feeling bad because you feel sorry for yourself, because you feel terrible about yourself. And to me, that was eye-opening. And that's not, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's kind of a deep thought, but it is. So I punch you.
Right.
And I'm genuinely sorry. Then I walk away and I'm okay, I suck. I punched AJ. And even though you've forgiven me, maybe whatever, and I'll just never make it right. And I'm such garbage. I've made it I. It's all about me still. I'm not really sad that I hurt you, because because at a certain point it just becomes about hatred of myself, which was once again self-focused.
Yeah, it's not right. Mm-hmm.
It's not even about, because that can be a shame spiral. That's not even about trying to shame myself when I think that. It doesn't make me feel more shame. It makes me go, Todd, quit it. The times that I do it right. Does that make sense at all?
100%, man.
So that's my tangible. What I do, because I do struggle with what you're describing.
Yes, because so often, for me, and I know this isn't right and this isn't healthy, but a lot of the time I can feel like choosing joy is just throwing all your problems aside and never looking at them.
Maybe it is for the moment. So, but it isn't never looking at them.
Right.
So sometimes I put them in a bag, right? I put them in a bag and I leave them at the door because it's not that person's fault. Because the truth is, you should have real talk. But if you're not going to have real talk, say we're going to volleyball, we had a terrible day, and you're not going to talk to the entire 30 people there about the sadness, about whatever,
right.
Then why would you carry that in? If you're not going to talk about it with everyone, why are you carrying it in? Put it in the bag, set it aside, and then when you get with your people, your smaller whoever it is, then you share. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's and again, I'm telling you the way I consciously when I've thought about this and when I do it right, I think it's been beneficial because it's also funny, man. And I really believe this. The more I focus on other people, the smaller my problems become. I'm serious. And that could go from my lack of time, my busyness, my sadness, my situation becomes smaller when I love other people and like focus on them. The problem with guys like I think you and me, because I do think for all of our differences we're similar in this, is it's a blessing and a curse. We think a lot. We're very introspective. We ask questions of ourselves, but that can lead to sometimes we just stay there. You just sit. I don't know about you, but I just sit in those thoughts. And I'm like, I thought it through. Let's think it through again.
Yes. I can feel, or it becomes so overwhelming that I just shut off. And I don't.
Which isn't good either, right?
Yeah.
Because what are people going to think? Like, let's say your girlfriend, right? We're going to say, what's your girlfriend think when you're sitting around shut off?
Well, it doesn't care.
She thinks it's something she did.
Or exactly, it's her fault or whatever.
Yeah, same with everybody else around. So I don't know, man. I certainly am an emotional guy, so I can struggle with the same things. And I try to remember that, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and love others as yourself. These are the 2 greatest commandments. What if I focus on those? Then I trust that God's got me. And it doesn't mean pretend problems aren't there,
right.
But it means like that needs to be the focus. I don't know, just a thought. Because life be like the waves and all the problems and our time, and you and I have talked about how fast it goes. It's all overwhelming if we focus on it. And I think sometimes that's why God's like, you need to keep your eyes on me. Remember how big I am, so that in comparison, these things of life, they don't seem so overwhelming. I just know I get burned out, and I don't know if this is true of you, but I can start getting down and depressed when I forget the why of what we do.
Oh yeah.
That's another part.
The why can get so skewed because you're not focused on why. You're just focused on it's a task now, or it's whatever it may be.
Even real talk. People don't realize if we don't think about this doing anything, it's just me and you showing up, Fun Turn Clint, we film something, it's just work. It's more things that we do. Because I know sometimes people are like, oh man, I wish I could go film every... Well, it's not. Like, sometimes it's stressful, and sometimes you don't want to film, and sometimes you just don't want to.
Sure.
But if we remember why we're doing it, to hopefully inspire you guys to have these talks, and it's okay to wrestle through life, and to point people to God who is bigger than all this stuff, and that there's an answer for these questions we have, then it becomes like, this is worth it. So I guess, I don't know, man, maybe that's what I'll ask you. Like, all your time and your rushing days and the lack of all of that, is it worth it?
Absolutely.
Is it really? And if you know that's the answer of your heart, then let that, then like you said, rejoice in that.
I'm still here. I think any other thing I would have left and went, nah, man, I'm not doing it, right? Like, I think I know it's worth it because... But
do you know it here in your heart?
Not
or
always.
Do you just feel like I should be thankful?
I think most of the time, not all the time. I think most of the time, I find it's in there, right? I think there's times where I don't. I think there's times where
sure. I mean, everyone does probably.
Right. Like, I think there is times where I should.
Yeah, I get it, man. But now I feel like we're really just talking you and me. But remember those times that we've both been a part of.
Yeah, it's incredible moments.
Makes it all worth it.
That's right.
But I agree with you.
You preached a sermon a long time ago where you made a list and you said, "Remember the moments," and like it's still on my phone. And I think about that sometimes. Dang, and that's so true, man. Remember the moments, because when you don't, that's when it all doesn't feel worth it, or you forget where you've come from. You forget everything.
I think that, and you know what? That's such a deep thought, man, about everything. That, you're married, you have a tough time in your marriage right now, and you want to quit. Remember the moments.
Yep.
Remember why. When you look at your kids and they're driving you crazy and they're annoying you and they're not listening, and gosh darn it, you don't even want to be there and look at them, because parents, I know sometimes you have that. Remember the moments, like why you do it. Church becomes a weight. You hate it. Remember the moments, the times that you get to love people and you see God move. I think that's so true of everything. Because this is going to sound probably corny and cliche to some of our viewers and listeners, but to me it's a beautiful thing, man. The moments are what make this life worth it, and everything. Right? The moments, we're calling it, with a capital M, I guess. And what are those? I don't know. I think they're different for different people.
Yep.
It's those moments when life freezes and you go, holy moly, this is incredible. I have them at the weirdest times sometimes.
Me too.
A couple weeks ago, I was looking at pre-service, during service at our church is crazy for me and you, and a lot of it. And it is. We're working, right?
Yeah.
And it's awesome. But even during worship sometimes, we're working. And I was looking up, and he's going to probably get embarrassed, but I was seeing our drummer, who we tease all the time because, he's mopey sometimes or whatever. I don't know if I might have told you this, but it was the craziest thing, man. I was just looking around and I saw him, and he was just smiling and just really going at it. And I just literally out loud said to myself, man, I just love that guy and I love our people. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You look around and you go, for all the flaws and because when you spend time with people and you're close to people, you see it. You see all the dirt all the time. But gosh darn it, I don't ever want to miss the moments because I'm so focused on all the dirt, all that stuff around. Because that moment for me, literally, this was in the last 3 weeks, made me go, I can still see it in my head. Man, this is incredible, right?
It's beautiful.
Or a young lady, gave her heart to the Lord, man. Became a Christian this past Sunday. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
You even let yourself think about that for a second?
Not fully.
That someone's eternity has been changed?
That's insane.
And that we got to be a part of that? You know what I mean? That's incredible. Boom. And this is the thing that's helped me, man. And sometimes, because I do wrestle too, is everything we've ever done. If all it ever did was lead that young girl, that lady, if all it ever accomplished was she gets to go to heaven, would it be worth it? Because to me it would. Yeah. Because eternity's a long time, man.
Yeah, it makes me emotional thinking about it.
Yeah. So, I like that. I like that reminder. Even though apparently it came from a message I gave, I didn't remember it.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
That was way before we were in this building, I'm pretty sure.
We haven't even been in this building 2 years. Isn't that nuts?
Yep.
Hasn't even been 2 years yet.
Feels like it.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, that was...
I hope I wasn't coming down there. I want to encourage you,
no,
man.
dude, not at all, man. I need this stuff. I have my own subtle, weird stubbornness in my own life that I need to work through, and it takes moments like this for me to go, I can do this. I can, I can get through whatever I'm feeling. I can, I can be more.
Yeah, man, because listen, just because I don't bring this up, you don't think I know there's times you go, I don't want to do this anymore. Of course you do, because you know why? I do.
Yeah.
I can tell you
I don't even like to talk about it.
I don't either. But I can't tell you, there's been times I've literally sat in the car in front of this building and gone, what am I doing?
Yep.
But that stuff. And honestly, I didn't even think about it either till I didn't think about an incredible moment we had this past Sunday.
Yep.
I was told it, and I was like, yeah, but I don't think I stopped to let myself really soak that in.
Me either.
So, and that stuff's happened here multiple times, man. We had someone, if he's watching, that's awesome. We had a person that we paid to take pictures at our baptism decide to get baptized, put his camera down, take his clothes off. Not all of them. We're not into this colony. And get in, man. That's incredible.
That's like a story in the Bible.
Yes, and we just are like, oh.
Yeah.
We're almost used to the craziness.
Mm-hmm.
But with the craziness comes the weight of all the craziness, right?
It makes me wonder if, like, maybe that's why. I think it's funny. When we actually let ourselves think, I think we know it's insane and we know it's crazy, but we have to keep ourselves even keel in the sense of, like, we can't let the craziness get to us, even if it's good crazy. We can't let it, like
Maybe we should sometimes, though.
Maybe. I don't
so
know.
that we feel like maybe we need to.
It's like we have to keep composure so that we don't lose, like, we don't lose ourselves anywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's why. I don't know.
I don't know, man. The biggest thing for me, I agree with you. To encourage you, I think you're doing a good job. You know, I'm a driver, and I'll admit that to everyone here, and we're close, and you're close to me. So not only are you, and I think, dude, you can tell we talk about, that's an area that I also feel convicted about sometimes, is because you're close to me. Not only are you carrying your weight, and I feel a lot of this for the Remnant House guys. Even if I don't tell you stuff that's happening, you see the weight on me, and because you care, you feel it too.
Absolutely.
So you're carrying the weights, your own individual stuff, and you're feeling the weight that I carry.
Yeah.
You know, that's hard, man. And I'm not perfect, and I spill sometimes on people and you guys, and I think all of it is just hard.
Yeah.
And my standard for myself, weirdly enough, is so high, and I'm not saying this in a bragging way, that it's never good enough for me, for myself. I don't think that about other people, and that's the truth. I don't go, this is not good enough. But I believe if we're close to each other, and I'm constantly holding myself to that standard, it probably makes you feel like that's your standard too sometimes. Like, even for me, like, there's no leeway. Do it. You know? And I do that, and that's...
There's probably truth to that. I think you've molded that in me a little bit, but I also know that if that wasn't a thing, I don't think I would be here. So,
Wow.
you know, because my standard was so low before that I was like, oh, whatever, I don't care. Like, that was one of the biggest things in my life, was like, I didn't care about anything. Like, I was like, I have dreams, but like, I didn't care. Like, I just wanted to get through life and die. That's all. It's what it felt like. So, like,
well, that's because you'd given up on yourself, really.
Exactly.
At the time.
So if it wasn't for the way you lived your life and the way that you instilled that in me, maybe not even necessarily trying to, but the way that I've seen you live your life and the way you've done things and the advice that you've continued to give me, whether it was for good or for bad, because you had to keep telling me the same thing, or, you know, keep working with me through things. Like, I've been able to become molded in the sense of, like, I do have a higher standard of myself in the sense of, like, to keep going, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be here. I think I would have fell off a long time ago. I had every reason to a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I had every reason to never come back. I had every reason to go, no, I'm done. But I didn't. That's because I knew you guys, and I knew.
Well, God got you, man. Too.
That's true.
You can't run from Him.
Yeah.
So, needless to say, you're doing good stuff, man. And I don't know. I don't want to be limited. I think sometimes too, the time thing and like good enough is because that's put in our head. You only have XYZ amount of time. I don't know, man. This could go on a whole different topic too. So for me, would I rather go? Sometimes, not every time I do this, it isn't good. Would I rather sacrifice sleep to live? Yes.
100%.
I'm not shaming people that like to sleep.
No.
I'm just saying for myself. Or would I, I don't know. I don't know, man. Life is so weird because there's these social expectations of like what is, I don't know, like stages of life and what you're supposed to do and, all kinds of stuff. Like, well, this is important and this isn't. And I don't know. I could go a whole different topic, but I think sometimes whether we want to admit it or not, that is pressure on us too.
Yes.
So like, you're a normal, healthy adult sleeps 10 hours a day, and they, they get up at 4 a.m. and they go to bed at 4 p.m. and blah blah blah. And if that's your cup of tea, awesome. But that doesn't mean it has to be for everyone's.
Right.
Like we always say around here.
It doesn't define success in any way.
Yeah, and dude, can you take care of your business?
Exactly.
A lot of different ways to take care of your business. Doesn't mean everyone's got to be carbon copies of each other.
You're right.
So I don't know. I think sometimes I feel that pressure, and then I end up getting more stressed because I'm trying to. I want to because that's what everyone's doing, but then I rebel against it because it isn't what I want.
Right. It's not who you are.
Yeah. And that could be not just sleep. That's just an example. It could be anything, right? Like AJ, hey,
it's like
are you getting your 12 hours of whatever?
It's like you're brushed red, living in a world that's black and white.
Yeah.
It's kind of being a Christian, isn't it?
Yeah. I was about to say, there's a lot of people that probably are like that.
That was never mind. It was a cool reference to a song. You guys listen.
Speaking of, have you held to that? Because that could be another thing that's feeding you. Good.
I have.
Maybe you're going with withdrawals.
I feel like, maybe. Like, I haven't.
AJ's decided to give up some, like, we'll call it secular music because he realized pretty cool on his own. Nobody, dude, this is affecting my life, my attitude, all
Yes. I feel like I've been doing good. I guess for me, it's hard to decipher because I am listening to Christian bands, like I am, but it's not always. Like talking about God. So like I don't know if that's cheating or not.
You just gotta follow your conscience, man. I don't think there's rules to it. Like, what is the Spirit telling you? Is the Spirit telling you like, hey, man, these lyrics aren't doing anything for you, or is it like, that's the thing? Apparently, it is, or you wouldn't be. Like, you did try to find your own loophole, and the Holy Spirit's like, hey, quit it.
Like,
stop doing that. You're literally frustrating yourself because no one put that standard on you at all.
I know, but
am I cheating? The guy's like, are you? You're like, yes.
Because like I'm listening. Okay, for example, like you guys know my favorite band is Under Oath, and like they were a Christian band, so they have Christian based music. But I know some of their music that they do, like lyrically, they're not always talking about God, but they're talking about like real life stuff.
Why are you justifying to me? The only person you're arguing with is yourself. I didn't put this rule on you.
Or like for example, here's another example. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Amberlin, but Amberlin, they have like a song that's called "Feel Good Drag," and so like, they mention the Lord once in the song, but like it's more like about like issues of like being unfaithful or stuff like that, and like it's still like a Christian band, but I guess the message behind it isn't necessarily like all about God, but it's about real life issues.
You realize you're literally arguing with yourself. You went back and forth. Listen, man. Why don't you just quit arguing with yourself and do what you apparently want to do or don't want to do, but feel like you should? That's something in the Bible, man. Like he said. Paul talks about that. Hey, you got to follow your conscience because sometimes the Spirit's telling you to do something that and sometimes it's only for a short time. Yeah, I went through that period. I literally went through a period. That's all I did, and I love hip hop, but the hippity hop. But I had to like cut that out for a while. I think God was like, nah, you got to stop because for a while, because I like the beats and stuff, right, and I like the lyrical stuff, and I remember driving and it was like I could hear it for the first time, and I was like. Then I couldn't not hear it. Every lyric that was not, I was like, son of a... Anyway, you're arguing with yourself and God, man. Leave me out of it. All right? Leave me out of it. You want me to back you up? No way.
I guess I just...
You're still arguing with yourself. Nobody's even arguing with you.
It makes me feel like I just have to listen to like worship music and that's it, which that's not bad.
Who are you talking to?
Myself.
I was about to say, because you're like, tell me. I'm not telling you anything. Do you hear this?
I'm just...
World?
Just processing it out with myself.
No, you were definitely arguing. Listen, maybe I could just listen to this. Well, it does have bad lyrics. No, man, it says the Lord. Anyway, yeah, that's cool.
Anyways,
I was just curious how you're doing with it.
Yeah, well, I guess now you know.
Apparently, you ratted yourself out, man.
I did. I ratted myself
to yourself.
Yeah.
And God, I don't know. That's hilarious.
Good example of not wanting to accept reality sometimes.
I get it. Trust me.
I'm just not going to listen to music anymore.
Well, that's what a kid does. I'm taking my ball and going home. I literally just did that. If I can't do what I want, I'm not listening to any music. It's so stupid. Anyway, it's ridiculous.
So how was your week, Ben? I know that was a long spiel.
No, I was good, man. I think I was really good. Well, I'll tell you something that's thrown me for a loop. So, came to the church, came down, looked outside, and saw it's not even a bobcat. What is that called? Like a A bulldozer. Yeah, thank you. I don't know how to use normal machinery. There's a bulldozer just crushing our land out back. Now, as you guys may or not know, we are flattening. We are creating. The long-term goal is we're going to have a softball field with an athletic field for kind of a mini athletic complex.
Yeah.
But starting with a softball field with a fence that opens up to create a shortened football field, soccer field.
Yeah.
Whole purpose of this long-term is to just serve the community. We have a lot of sports-minded people. We would love to do free sports leagues for kids because there are kids who can't even afford. Why I shouldn't have said that. Certain youth sports leagues can be expensive sometimes, depending on where you're at. And I know they have waivers, but a lot of times people don't know that stuff. So anyway, we just want to be another alternative, another option for people to get to, for youth, even adults.
Yeah.
An opportunity for adults. Listen, for some reason we think when we grow up that adults don't want to play sports. Well, they do. So what would it be like to have that? And we also want to give a place for the local church softball league to play.
Absolutely.
That's like theirs, right? This is your guys'. You're not feeling like you're imposing. This is the purpose. So really exciting. And God, we had as a church had decided to put that off till next year because we have other projects coming up. We mentioned this a few episodes ago. Well, God apparently had different ideas because we were sort of approached, and I can't even go into it.
It's wild.
The way it happened. I'm telling you right now, is crazy.
It's God.
Long story short, as far as I knew, we're still waiting for a couple of things. The guy was going to come out, mark our septic area, and then eventually we're waiting to hear back from a bank about a few things, just some stuff.
Sure.
That was it. Nope. Apparently in his mind, he was starting today. I know for a fact no one told him that. We haven't even signed anything.
Nope.
So he's just out there working away. So cool. Hey, here we are.
Yep.
We're going to figure that out. But it made me go, well, this is real.
Yep.
So one of our many projects in here, so there's a softball field. We're doing a playground for our kids, and then our studio, which is going to be very exciting for those that watch this and are listening. Yes. The studio is going to revolutionize both our social media and our media production stuff, but also, again, we would love to be able to serve local nonprofits, smaller businesses that can't afford it by giving them a space to do stuff. Maybe they want to do advertising. Maybe they want to do social media stuff. We want to be a place to do that.
Absolutely.
So why did I tell all that? It wasn't just a commercial about the remnant, but it is, I don't know, it just became real when you walk downstairs and see, and there's a dirt field. So that's happening. Hopefully the plan, I guess, again, I don't, completely unexpected. Threw me for a loop. I'm doing okay, man. I'm in a similar situation too. I'm in one of those cycles where I'm really frustrated with myself for patterns that I have in my life, sinful patterns and stuff like that. But I have to, because the temptation is to wait and hate myself and gosh darn it, why can't I stop acting this way? Or why do I let this? And I'm just trying to rest in God's grace and in His love, and knowing that He's patient as I work through these things, and the very fact that it bothers me is proof of His Spirit working in me, right? That I'm never to the point where I'm like okay with whatever I'm doing. So that's personal. All that to say, just a wild time,
dude. You're right. It is a wild time. That made it so much more real. That was.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. So one of our leaders here at the church, we were talking about it, and I was like, "Did you tell this guy to do it?" And he goes, "Nope." And did you? I go, "Nope." And he goes, "Well, guess we're going."
Yep.
And so that's happening. Man, with that, what an incredible opportunity, or a thing that has happened, I guess, where we have had some local businessmen just invest in our field.
So cool.
We're definitely going to give him a full shout out. I just want to know how to do it. But there's a local guy who owns a business, a believer, and he gave a significant amount of money that came out of nowhere, blew our minds, exploded our minds last Wednesday. One of our members here, longtime members, works with him and just went up and said, "Hey, would you like to invest in this?" And expecting a couple $100, and he just blew that out of the water. I can't even put into words how incredible that is. And another guy, I'll give them a shout out. I think it's okay. J&H Specialty, a business in Fort Wayne, has helped us out a lot and sponsored things. And, it's also going to help with the field again and just believes in what we're doing. And that's just so special.
Continuous support.
Yeah, that's really special, man. And I got a text from the head of the church softball league, drove by apparently today and texted and goes, "Hey, man, I just saw groundbreaking. This is really exciting." And I was like, yeah, you know? So,
yeah, man, it's wild.
It's almost completely unexpected.
Yeah, I got it completely under control. Right on time.
So, just an interesting time.
Oh, man.
A lot of cool stuff happening. Yeah, we're starting our perspective series this week at church, where we're going to have different people in the church once a month for the next 4 months, including you.
Yep.
We'll be preaching a message. So kind of weird for me because I love to preach. Will not be doing it.
I'm pretty nervous. Won't lie.
For yours?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, he's not up this week. We'll let you guys know in case you want to tune in that week. But I wish you'd tune in every week. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. I'm trying to think. Big blessing, a good friend of ours, pretty much family, had a serious hospital issue.
Yep.
He's out. He's doing okay. So that's been, boy, that was tough.
Oh,
All this happened within a week.
That was wild as well.
So I'm doing okay other than that. I think kind of the same as you, man. I want to live out of joy. I want to be a light.
I think that's the good fight, man.
Amen. Yep, that's that. So we did get one question. It's actually an older question. It's not new.
Okay.
It was an older question, but I think we answered it on live and have never answered it on our pre-recorded, which means not everyone probably saw it. The question is, does Jesus preach a different gospel? Let me flip it. Does Paul preach a different gospel than Jesus preached? And if so, what are the differences?
I don't think so.
No. I understand why someone might think that on the surface, because if you're going, what? Not because they're different at all, because they sometimes talk about different things. The way I like to think of it is, Jesus came to tell us the good news and tell us the kingdom is here, tell us things are different, and then Paul's telling us a lot of times about what life looks like now that we're in the kingdom.
That makes sense.
So now that we are saved and the Holy Spirit's in us, what does that look like? What's the next step? It's still God leading us. So, nope, it's one story. The whole Bible, in fact, guys, to encourage you. The Old Testament, New Testament, hear people say they're different. No, they're not. There's one story of God interacting with His creation, His people at different points, meeting them where they can understand Him, because there are different points in history. We've been rebellious. We've been here. And helping us get along to bring us back home. That's my view of it.
Yeah, it's nuts to think about.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So the only other thing I just thought of another thing. Sometimes I guess if I'll leave it there. I'm excited.
Okay.
We'll leave it there.
Okay.
You have anything else?
Let's check. Just thank you guys so much for watching today or listening, whichever one you're doing. Thanks for listening about my ramble of life. Hope you guys could take something from it, learn something, or even just relate. This show is meant for you guys to kind of be able to look into our lives and see what we're up to and how we're feeling, and also it's just for you guys to become closer to God. It's all for the kingdom at the end of the day. It's all about Jesus. I want you guys to know who Jesus is. And, you guys so often even remind me of who Jesus is through your faithfulness of, watching this and sharing this and commenting. So thank you guys so much for doing that. You guys mean so much more than you'll ever know. Appreciate you.
Ditto. I agree with this guy. I'm very thankful for the opportunity. Guys, he said it. If you're watching this and you say to yourself, Jesus, say I've heard of Him, but I don't know anything about Him. It's real. It's all real. This stuff's real. I encourage you to talk to someone that you trust, not just the random people that scream at you, sometimes someone you trust, and ask them that maybe who calls himself Christian, ask them who Jesus is. You can ask us. You can comment on if there's anything we can do for you, you can go to our church page and ask. We want you to know Him. And He changes your life. It's the truth. It's incredible. He saves you. It's good news. The gospel is good news. If you don't know what that is, man, we would love the opportunity to tell you. But real talk, I know today was a little different. You probably saw, that was probably the closest to what our actual conversations are like.
Yeah, that was
sometimes.
representation, I'd say.
I mean, the fun stuff is too, but
Yeah.
or weird, depending on what you want to call it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, you guys already know the deal. Those on the listening podcast, we love you guys too so much. We're so excited as that continues to grow. Our supporters on the podcast.
That's right.
Hey, shoot us a message, podcast folk, sometime. Letting us know. Just say from the podcast with your message, so we know who's asking too.
Absolutely.
You can do that at www.theremnant.life/real-talk. I think the link's actually in our description, right?
For the videos.
But not for the actual podcast.
Yes, it's also in the podcast description, like the show description, and in each episode.
So yeah, go check that out. Let us know. Hey, listening from the podcast. We just want to hear from you. Those that are watching on Facebook, hey guys, I know we don't always get a chance, and we should do better at this, at commenting and responding. Mm-hmm. But we see everything,
yes,
and man, we appreciate it. You guys stretch us sometimes. You encourage us. Keep doing that. Keep liking, sharing, give us some feedback. Did you like the show? Was this an episode you enjoyed? Would you like to see more of something else? I know something we're going to be doing. I know we say a lot of things. We have a lot of plans, but we want to start having guests on this one. Whether that's, I would love to get some local pastors to come on here with us and answer some questions and talk about life. So if you know a local pastor who would be interested in being on Real Talk here in Whitley County, those in the podcast, hey, even in your state, we can do phone or video. If you know someone that's interested in being on Real Talk, having Real Talk, answering questions, chopping it up, have them get a hold of us via www.theremnant.life/real-talk. Or you can just go to contact us at the www.theremnant.life, or you can message us here on Facebook, and we'll get back to you because we're definitely looking to do that, and maybe even go to those places. I even thought about just calling someone right now, just to say, hey, how you doing? But I didn't. So I could call Chris. You remember him?
I do remember.
The bearded guy.
Yeah.
Anyway. Other than that, if you guys would like to donate to this ministry, we'd really appreciate it. The show, you can do that. It's completely tax deductible at www.theremnant.life/give. You can also see that in the video description above. Other than that, like our page if you haven't. We hope you guys have a great day. We love you so much, and truly, God bless you.